everyone. Welcome to Fishin, the podcast where we discuss standards, most competitive tribe, and help the whole community become better Merfolk players. I'm Kody, one of the co-hosts of the show, and not Kody Smith on Twitter. And we also have Matt, our co-host. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. We are recording a day early. This is a Saturday afternoon. We are threading the needle because all the babies are sleeping. So we are making this work. I appreciate you recording a day early, Kody. For those of you who don't know, which is probably everybody besides Kody, I have a work trip next week. So I leave for Nolens tomorrow night when we normally record. And I'll be in Nolens on Monday, Tuesday. So we can't do those days because I actually have things to do for work at night.
Quotes.
No, unfortunately, so it's going to be a business trip, but it's going to be a fun business trip. So, but anyway, we're here. We're not letting actual real life slow us down. So we're going to make this happen.
Yeah, we're putting fantasy first.
Yeah, exactly.
So remember that you can listen to this podcast wherever you find your podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, whatever, all that fun stuff, Google Play. But rating us in those places also helps us out a lot and costs you 0 space bucks. So if you can just stop by the iTunes podcast app store and rate us there. We've also kind of cranked YouTube up to 11. So if you don't know, we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/fishcastmtg. That's where we put an audio version of the podcast. So some people, they ask specifically for the show to be on YouTube. So we put it there, but we also have been doing a lot more gameplay recently. So all those gameplay videos go up on that YouTube channel. So go ahead and stop by there, subscribe, click the little bell icon so you get notified. We basically have a video going up every day. So there's something happening at all times on YouTube.
Yeah, no. It's all Kody right now. So don't think you're going to see me on there. We're talking about trying to get me on there if I can actually get a moment of time to do it. But Kody's playing some great Magic, teaching everybody a lot about how Merfolk plays, its strengths, weaknesses. So go check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun. We had a pretty interesting Legacy League last night. So it's one of those things that you can watch the full stream on twitch.tv/fishcastmtg, which is where we stream every Friday night at 9 p.m. CST. So I've been alternating between Modern and Legacy for a little while. I might switch it up and do some Arena again, just give that a shot and see how that works out next week. Plus that doesn't cost any event tickets, so it's a little bit cheaper to play on Arena. So I might switch it up and do some Arena next week, but who knows? We'll see. But yeah, so we are gonna go straight into it. We have a random Merfolk.
Really? Those are random Merfolk on this show?
I guess it's one of those things that we've done. It's our 41st.
Ooh, I like 41.
Every of the times. It's so this is a pretty cool one. And Matt, I know that you love this mechanic, so I'm gonna let you read Marrow Wavebreakers.
All right. Marrow Wavebreakers is 1 blue and 4 for a creature Merfolk soldier. He's a 3/3, and he's from Shadowmoor, so you know he's awesome. He also has the ability that is 1 blue and 1 and untap, which everybody who listens to the show know I love the untap effect. Marrow Wavebreakers gains flying until the end of turn. So as far as untap abilities go, this is kind of on the weaker scale. Usually we talk about going infinite with it and doing something really cool. Really, this is more of just like a surprise. I gotcha.
Yeah, like this is kind of like a limited mechanic, where I'm sure like this is actually a fine card. I mean, it's not something you would pick super high, if you were playing in Shadowmoor, but it's fine. It's serviceable. It's a 3/3, which is a fairly big body, but then you can just pay two and jump it basically.
Yeah, it's a limited card only, but if you can play limited Shadowmoor, please do. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
5 mana is a lot for a 3/3 with this ability. But one thing I will say is the art is amazing on this thing.
Yeah, I really like how he has like a makeshift Bident there. It's like he just like picked up a stick or something, and he's like I'm coming. And the flavor text is pretty on point too. The Marrow's prey have retreated from the shore, so they have learned to follow.
Yeah. Again, I want to hate on this card. Like if it was from any other set, I'd probably be like really dumping on it right now. But it's from Shadowmoor, which is amazing. The art is fantastic. And I'm going to at least say it's a limited B plus if you can actually play limited Shadowmoor.
Yeah, and again, 5 mana for a 3/3 isn't spectacular, but in limited, it's kind of it's fine. Like I said, you're not super excited, but I mean, if you're playing Merfolk already, then it's a Merfolk, and yeah, it's fun. And this is kind of also our spooky Halloween episode because next episode will come out the day after Halloween. So this guy's kind of creepy. He's got he's a little dark. He's got the fangs and everything. He's coming to get you.
He's out there doing the mash.
He's
the
like
monster mash.
Jason.
The monster mash. It was a graveyard smash.
He's like Jason Fishy.
Womp, womp.
It sounded better in my head. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry.
It's usually a lot later, and usually Cody and I have had a few cocktails before we record. So
this is sober. This is like a straight up dad joke.
We're in like the middle of we're in the middle of dad time right now.
Yeah.
Drinking coffee and watching cartoons.
Yeah. Yep. Fun times.
All right. Should we talk about our main topic?
Yeah.
Because I'm like super stoked.
Yeah. This is actually because you brought me this deck and you were like, hey, I know that this isn't 110% Merfolk,
but it's like 35% Merfolk.
It's like 35% Merfolk, and it's super sweet. And I looked at the list and I said, Matt, this is super sweet. Let's talk about it.
So Cody and I are talking standard again today, which is really, really weird because when Ixalan came out and we were talking standard and talking like standard brew decks, we would do it. We would have fun doing it, but it wasn't like calling to me because standard was pretty awful. And realistically, standard's been awful since I want to say Theros. Is that fair?
I mean,
maybe not awful, but like just not great.
Well, cons made standard really cool, but like I'd say like Theros into cons, but like cons into Origins was kind of miserable. Just
especially with $1,000 decks.
Yeah, that's kind of where things went super wild, and because you had fetchable duels, and it was just you had fetches and fetchable duels, so it was pretty bad.
And then after that we had Zen, which was awful, and then all of a sudden we just started having ban after ban after ban because Wizards just could not get their stuff together.
Yeah. Well, but this is kind of an example of just like, there's good cheap removal in standard right now. There's powerful dual lands. There's a lot, so you can play basically whatever you want, but there's nothing super busted. It's like we don't have fetches, so it's not like people can just like go get anything they want. And
yeah,
the threats are reasonable and the removal's cheap.
Actually, and you hit most of the points, but Jeff Hoogland was actually texting this morning, or texting. Yeah, he does not text me personally. I actually don't know the guy, but he was tweeting this morning, and he actually posted a tweet that actually made a lot of sense. And he says people have been asking me what makes standard formats so great, and I think there are a few things that make it awesome. One, the threats aren't obnoxious. There are sweet finishers to be playing, but none of them are Hazarat or Scarab God. There's no Bomat or Scrap Heap, just running the format. Two, the answers in this format are plentiful. You have tools you need to solve most of the problems and are presented in most colors. And three, Explore, Jumpstart, Surveil all reduce the resource variance built into Magic in a really great ways. They are simple but effective. So again, Wizards really took all the mistakes they've had over, I guess, the last 5 years, which is insane. They haven't had a great standard in 5 years. The bombs aren't so oppressive that you have to play them. There's actual responses, again, which is what killed Kaladesh, is that one, there was no artifact hate in Kaladesh, and there was no way to interact with energy, and then the mechanics right now are just really, really cool and interesting. So again, this is A+. I have not even wanted to play standard since original Innistrad. And I'm playing standard on Arena right now, and I am having an absolute ball. I have zero desire to play Modern or Legacy right now. I am all in standard, at least for the next week or so.
Yeah, and again, this is something, standard is kind of more accessible than it's ever been with Arena.
Absolutely.
You can download Arena for free. We discussed this last week. You have 15 decks right out the gate, and you have a bunch of mythics in those decks, and it's super easy to just get cards. You don't have to spend money. And so people that are Modern players or Legacy players or Commander players even, that are kind of like, Yeah, well, I mean, it's great that standard's cool, but I don't want to spend 50, 100, 150, $200 on a standard deck and basically play it a couple times and that's it. Like this deck that we're going to be looking at is just over $400. So it's a pretty, I mean, that's a pretty sizable, you know, investment, but like you could build this on Arena and not have to put a bunch of money into it, but you're also getting like, you know, overgrown tombs, you know, woodland cemeteries. Like these are all cards that are usable in modern and you know, this is kind of just great value and a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. I've been on Arena for about 2 weeks now, and I've spent $25. I bought a $20 gems package 2 nights ago, and then I bought the $5 intro package. And I've completely built out Esper Control. Like I have for Teferis, I have everything. I'm 3 packs away from getting my Chromium for it. And then after that, I was just telling Kody, I think I'm going to try to build this deck out as well. And it's, again, Arena's great. We talked about it last time. I don't want to be just singing its praises constantly. But so we're gonna talk some standard.
Yeah.
So the deck we're alluding to is Golgari midrange, which makes me super happy because so my 3 favorite guilds are Azorius, which is probably my first true love, Orzhov, which again I just absolutely love, and Golgari, which makes a lot of sense because my favorite cons are going to be either Abzan or Esper, hence me playing Esper Control. So again, having a Golgari deck be awesome in standard is just really cool, and the deck is just super sweet, and I cannot wait to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, let's get right into it because, and you had talked about in Jeff's quote there that explore is kind of a way to help smooth out the kind of problems that a lot of multicolor decks have. Now, obviously, in a 2-color deck, we're not going to have as many problems with having correct mana, but explore really does help, you know, filter through things and kind of helps you get to your lands and get to your spells.
And just for those who don't know what Explorer is an ability. It's usually enter the battlefield. Actually, I think it's always enter the battlefield. That for on a creature, which is reveal the top card of your library and put that card in your hand if it's a land card. Otherwise, put a 1/1 counter on that creature. Then put that card back on the top of your library. So again, Explorer is just all value because either A, you're getting card draw, you're thinning your library, or B, you make your creature just a little bit more powerful. There's no downside. It's a really, really cool ability. And I don't think it's really had a chance to shine due to the mono red really just destroying the format for the last year plus. And again, all the obnoxious Hazarots and Scarab Gods and things like that have been roaming around out there. But now that a lot of that stuff is gone from the format, it's Explorer's actually doing some stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of the main reason that the Merfolk are in this deck because this is the you know the king of the Merfolk explorers in this. So let's go over it real quick.
Yeah, let's hit
the
let's hit.
creatures?
No, I was gonna say let's start with the Merfolk. So,
Yeah.
and again, the main reason why we're covering this deck is we were joking around. It's like, well, there's still not a Merfolk deck, a real Merfolk deck in standard, but this deck is actually playing 8 Merfolk. So
Real quick before you get into that, if you follow us on Twitter at FishcastMTG, I've been finding where people complain about Merfolk. Like I literally search for it and I retweet all of them because it's so funny. Everyone's like, "Oh, the blue green Merfolk deck that they give you is just garbagely powerful more than everything," and everyone cries about Merfolk on Arena. It's hilarious.
so I
This website's
okay,
free.
yes. I can kind of see where people who don't know the game, who are new to Magic coming in, can see how that is because for a starter deck compared to all the other ones, it's much more powerful than all the other decks they give you. But I mean, as a deck in general, I mean, it's fun. I mean, you could sleeve it up and bring it to FNM and have a good time with it, but it's not tiered by any means. It's not like the deck we're about to discuss.
Yeah, you're not like this deck. You found it looks like it was done at a standard PTQ, and
Yes.
it went 9-0. So like this is a deck that really put results on the board. So you were gonna discuss the Merfolk. I just sorry I derailed you there for a second. I just
Yeah,
thought it
so
was funny.
no. So but yeah, so we have 8 out of 60 cards. So just under or just over 20% are Merfolk cards. So even though it's not really a Merfolk deck, it's actually fairly close, and I think it's the closest we're going to get at this point. We'll see if when the Simic set comes out next,
Yeah,
if that
next.
can maybe put us over. But from our previous experiences with Ravnica, I don't think we're probably going to see too many Merfolk. So we'll have to see if just the spells that are in the Simic colors can maybe do something, and we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm not holding my breath at this point.
next week we're going to discuss what we foresee coming. We're going to look at the history of the Merfolk on Ravnica, which is actually fairly short. There's not a whole lot to go over there. But we are going to discuss the mechanics, the Simic mechanic, and we're also going to kind of speculate a little bit on what we could possibly see. Because I don't think that they'll give us nothing. Because I mean, the leader of the guild is a Merfolk, and then the Maze Runner was a Merfolk. So like, there has to be something. There is going to be a Merfolk. I guarantee it. But will it be good?
You're much more optimistic than I.
Will it be good? I'm sure there'll be one that's like EDH playable.
All right, well, let's not do too much of that today.
Yeah.
So anyway, the 2 Merfolk that are being played in this deck are, one is the Jade Light Ranger. So Jade Light Ranger is the rare 2 green and a 1 for a 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores and explores again. So again, having 2 explore triggers is just absolutely fantastic. You either pop 2 lands off the top of your deck. If you don't hit 2 lands, you put 2 1/1 counters on it, or you put a 1/1 counter and grab a land. I mean, it's just Value Town USA. It's absolutely great in this format. And then the other one is going to be your Merfolk Branchwalker, which is 1 green, 1 of anything, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores. So as Kody was alluding to, the Merfolk are in here to explore, which again makes it really funny that the fact that we finally get a pseudo maybe we're kind of pushing it Merfolk deck without any blue in it.
Yeah, and I mean, black has a lot to offer the deck. Lots of removal, lots of just great value cards, and again, more exploring, which kind of helps smooth this deck out a little bit.
Yeah, and actually, I want to touch on that. And I think they were mentioning this on the MTG Goldfish podcast. Which again, if you guys are listening to us and not MTG Goldfish, you're doing something wrong, because Seth, better known as Saffron Olive, and his crew just do a fantastic job. But one of the reasons why they said that you're seeing probably Golgari right now rather than Jund is because the removal in green and black have just gotten so good with Assassin's Trophy and Chupacabra, which is in this deck, and a few others. So you really don't need the red in there anymore. Plus, we also don't have all the shocks yet. So that's why we're seeing a lot more like Boros and Golgari and at least the guilds that have shown up so far in Ravnica.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, once we have the blue-green shock, that will help, blue-green Simic Merfolk. But this is kind of an okay for the time being. We'll go with black-green, and we'll see how that does. Do you want to go over the rest of the creatures here real quick?
Yeah. So the main package of this deck, very similar to a Merfolk deck, is creatures. It's 28, so just about under half the deck has got creatures. So we outside of the 8 Merfolk that we already discussed, there's going to be a play set of Llanowar Elves, the classic mana dork. Don't need to say anything else about him. We know why he's there.
Yeah.
Because Birds of Paradise isn't standard legal.
Oh man, can you imagine if they print Birds of Paradise in the last Ravnica set, because they're doing the 3?
Well, it's entirely possible. Birds of Paradise was standard legal in the original Ravnica block.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, how cool would it be? Is like in the 3rd set, they're like, oh hey, Birds of Paradise, and it's just like, whoa! Like, I'm sure people would go crazy.
You're not supposed to be speculating. That's next week. But yeah, no, actually,
I
think that actually might happen. So anyway, the next creature here is they have 3 Seeker Squire, which is another card from Ixalan, 1 black, 1 of anything, for a 1/2, and when he enters the battlefield, explore. So again, just kind of the reverse of the Merfolk Branchwalker. Then we have 2 Wild Growth Walkers, which is 1 green, 1 of anything for an elemental, 1/3 from Ixalan. And whenever a creature you control explores, put a 1/1 counter on Wild Growth Walker, and you gain 3 life. I think I know where this is going, Cody. Sounds like we're going to be exploring a lot.
Yep.
There's one district judge or district guide. It's a 1 green 2 of anything from Ravnica. It's an elf scout. It's a 2/2. And when he enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card or gate card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Again, so we're ramping. We're still ramping. There's 2 Golgari Find Brokers. That is the 2 black, 2 green for a 3/4 elf shaman from Ravnica. When Golgari Find Broker enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So it is a bigger, not as good Eternal Witness. But again, for an Eternal Witness in Standard, still, even if with these colors, it's not bad, especially since Golgari is a deck you're playing.
Yeah, and it's a 3/4, so like it's a sizable body. You're not just yeah, 3/4 is okay.
So for Standard and Golgari Find Broker is fine. For Modern and for like Commander, you're still gonna be playing your Eternal Witness. I mean, it's not replacing Eternal Witness by any means,
no.
but it's fine for what it does in this deck. As I alluded to before, there are 3 Ravenous Chupacabras. They escaped San Antonio apparently.
So every time I see this, it makes me think of the
Gentle dudes, before you lies a fierce beast known to suck the brains out of humans and goats. Driven from their habitat during the construction of the Rancho Garden Mall in '98. Heck, a scientist thought they moved up north. But I had a different hypothesis. Looks like I was right. I give you the Rancho Chupacabra.
No, that is definitely our neighbor Mark's dog ambush.
For sure.
But yeah, so every time I see this, I always think of the wet dog that they found in their pool.
No, Workaholics is my jam. But Ravenous Chupacabra is, I believe it's from the original Ixalan. They have the Masters 25 version up on Goldfish. I don't think it was from Rivals, was it?
It was Rivals.
Oh, was it Rivals? Okay, whatever. Oh, it's Rivals. Yeah, the symbol's in the back of the Masters 25.
I was going to say, there's the watermark. It's right there.
If I actually pay attention.
You got it.
So it's 2 black, 2 of anything for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. So again, just really good. And he's seen a little bit of Eternal play, hasn't he? Has he seen some Modern play yet?
I could not answer that question for you, so I'd have to get back to you. But I mean, it's a 2/2 that Doomblade something. So
yeah, it's kind of like a Shriek mod that cost 1 more, but actually stays in the battlefield.
Yeah.
So again, he if anything, he might see a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't hate that one. I've always liked that card. Then 4 Doom Whisperers. So this is the expensive card that if you want to build this in paper, I think they're at 25 a pop right now.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to be at around $100 a playset.
Yeah. Again, on Arena, it's just you grind out for a little bit and you're going to get 4 mythics. In paper, he's going to be really expensive, but I still think he's probably the best card from Ravnica, minus the lands, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could see that.
He's insane.
Yeah.
So Doom Whisperer is a 6/6 Nightmare Demon. So Nightmare Demon, that just seems kind of like, I don't know, like repetitive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that one of the reasons that they made nightmares was to get rid of demons in the first place.
Oh.
And so because they were trying to get away from the satanic panic of like, oh, look at these demons.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's basically like something dark and mysterious that could be demon-ish. And but yeah, so I mean, it's a nightmare demon. I don't know of any other type of demon unless you watch like Disenchantment.
Yeah, I'm the guy that makes you feel good about doing bad things.
So you're like a terrible friend?
I never said I'm your friend.
So anyway, it's 2 black and 3 for a 6/6 flying trample. Ooh. And it has the ability pay 2 life, surveil 2. So, and surveil is look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest on the top of your library in any order. So essentially, in like Commander, it's search your library for any card you want while dumping stuff in your graveyard because you're assuming you're playing a graveyard heavy deck and win.
Yeah, and what's funny is like in this Standard, this actually works really well with Explore. So like you can play your Doom Whisperer, right, and then untap next turn, pay the 2 life to surveil, put a land and another card underneath it, or ditch a land and then put like another card down. So that way when you explore, you draw the land and then you draw another card, off of, into something else. So this is just such a weird, crazy value thing. And then you even have like Golgari Find Broker, where you can just go, oh, I want this right now. And then you go ditch it, Golgari Find Broker, put it in my hand.
Well, and the nice thing is for as powerful as this card is, I mean, it's 5 mana for a 6/6 flying trample is insane on itself.
Yeah, it has
flample. It's flample. But even though it's flampling, it's not like insanely broken. I mean, we have removal spells to take care of it. It's not like we have only terror where it's like destroy anything but a black creature. This thing can run wild. Or if this was like the days of Almond Cat or Zendikar or whatever, they would have made this like flying flample hexproof or something stupid like that. Like, so you just could not interact with this thing. But this thing you can interact with, it's still really good. And if somebody does try to destroy it, the player in response can surveil and still get value out of it. So it's just, I mean, it's an incredibly fair card for what it does because you can interact with it at least. And then in response, you can interact. The player who's losing it can interact as well.
Yeah, and then we just have one last creature. It's an Azoni, 1000-eyed, 2 black, green for a 2/3. It has 2 abilities. It has one of his abilities, her abilities, I guess, is black-green, sacrifice another creature, you gain a life and draw a card. So that's pretty awesome, right? Like, just in response to any removal, you just go, I'm going to gain a life and draw a card.
Correct. Well, and the cool thing about it too is, so I mean, as you can see, as the deck was going, as we were reading off the creatures, I mean, Llanowar Elves and like some of the Branch Walkers, and the other Explorer creatures, and the District Guide. I mean, you're ramping into mana, so you're getting there as quickly as possible. And once you get to the 6 mana to play this, I mean, this is the top of your deck of your curve anyway.
Yeah,
you don't need those creatures anymore. So you can start popping your Llanowar Elves and like District Guide, you're only playing one of, but once it's in play, it's literally just chump blocker. You're not doing anything else with it.
Yeah.
After you have your land. So, I mean, you have plenty of things to sacrifice. And as Kody said, if somebody's targeting your stuff, just sacrifice it in response.
Yeah, and on top of that, if that wasn't good enough, it has an ability, Undergrowth, which is the Golgari mechanic from the set. And it says, when Azoni, 1000-eyed, enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token for each creature card in your graveyard. How busted is that? Like,
this thing is awesome.
It doesn't exile them from your yard. They just stay there. It just checks. It just goes, oh, okay, yeah, we've got like 6 creatures here. All right, make 6 1/1s.
So the cool thing about this too is surveil with Doom Whisper. So if you have your Doom Whisperer out first, you can like pitch, I don't know, like 10 cards, like knock off 10 of your life, and just like play your Azoni the 1000-eyed with maybe 5 creatures in the hole because you're half your deck's creatures anyway.
Yeah.
And so it comes into play as a 2/3 with all those abilities and 5 1/1 insect tokens. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome.
And then you just start popping them off to draw some extra cards because it's late game. So you just go like, all right, pop, gain 3 life, draw 3 cards, and then now you've got your hand full again, and you're not struggling.
It's essentially, I played this on turn 4 or 5. I'm tapped out. You better kill it before I untap, or things are going to get really bad for you.
Yeah. All right, so I mean, that's just dumb. It's a 2/3, but that doesn't matter. It's just all the abilities are super great on it. Yeah. Moving into the Planeswalkers, we actually have 2 Veraskas in here.
Yeah, so we have 2 Vraska Golgari Queens and 3 Vraska Relic Seekers. Again, so we're ramping up so we can play these more expensive Planeswalkers, and the Vraskas are good again.
Yeah, no.
Wizards made Vraska good again. Congratulations.
I think she was good in her first iteration. So actually, I do have an F&M achievement unlocked moment where I built this was Theros Ravnica standard, and I built a green-black value deck, and I ulted a Vraska, and I killed someone with one of the assassin tokens. So like, it was just so great.
So I got a little anecdote for you real quick. So one of my buddies from college, I think I mentioned this last week. He called me up. He was super excited that he could play Magic again. He hadn't played since we were in college 10 years ago. So he downloaded Arena and he was playing against somebody who was playing Veraska. And then she ulted and he was about to win, or he thought he had won. Then she like swings with like a little 1/1 creature and he dies. And he flips out. He was so pissed. He said he was looking for the chat box so we could just start like yelling like derogatory things at the person. And I mentioned to him that that's part of the reason why they don't have the chat box in Arena. But so anyway, he's like, well, what do you do? He didn't know you could interact with planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can attack it. He's like, oh, so you're saying I died and it was my fault? I'm like, yes, I do.
So Veraska Golgari Queen has a couple abilities. She starts at 4 loyalty. She has +2. You may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain a life and draw a card. So there's our same thing with our 1,000-eyed girl over there. She has -3. Destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. So you abrupt decay something, which is
permanent.
Yeah,
3 or less. Lands are less than 3
yeah.
mana cost.
Oh yeah,
just FYI.
No, that's what I was saying. It's abrupt decay. It's like you.
No, it's better than abrupt decay.
Yeah, better than abrupt decay. Like yeah, you just kill something dead, kill a soul ring, in standard, kill an
target
enchantment.
Tron land.
Yeah. It's the Tron killer.
Target Tron land, and they don't get to go looking for a land.
Yeah, and then it has a -9. You get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game.
So every time I've played against her so far, because I've played against quite a few Golgari decks on Arena, she's never actually gotten that close to ulting.
No,
but I mean she's gotten to 8 quite a few times because she's plussing 2 and she starts at 4. So, but I mean she is money, especially in this deck because I mean when it says sacrifice another permanent, I mean as we said before with Azoni, there's a lot of things in this deck. By the time you drop Veraska Golgari Queen, you don't care about blowing up. You don't necessarily care about blowing up your Land of War Elves. You don't necessarily care about blowing up your some of your other smaller creatures, and a lot of times you don't care about blowing up your lands.
Yeah, or you kill like a value creature for them. You know, you have so many options to kill something of your own, to draw an extra card and gain some life, or you can kill like a decent threat or something that if left unchecked will win the game. So like it's very versatile. It helps you refill or it helps stop them.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. Both Veraskas when they got spoiled, I thought they were both hot garbage. Veraska Relic Seeker mostly because she's converted mana cost 6, and we'll get to her in a second. But this one, I mean, even being 4 and starting at 4, the fact that you had to sacrifice a permanent, I'm like, most people aren't going to want to use that +2. The +3 is fine, and the -9, it doesn't win on the spot. Like it's still a situational win. You still have to have a creature that can actually get through.
Yeah.
To do it. So I just am like this. I mean, it's fine. It'll probably maybe be a janky EDH card. 100% wrong. This thing is straight up standard playable. Again, I don't think necessarily it's gonna be an eternal card. I mean, there's a chance though. I mean, it's really good, and people are showing how to play it here in these Golgari decks.
Yeah, and the last Veraska Relic Seeker is from Ixalan. It's 4 green-black, but again, we're ramping, so pretty okay.
It's Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, and she starts at 6 loyalty.
Yeah, I mean she's huge.
Yeah, so you +2, you get a 2/2 black pirate with menace, so an evasive threat.
And menace is a broken ability. I'm sorry, menace is insane.
Oh yeah, no, I really like menace, and so what's funny is
might as well just say unblockable,
and you can have a Veraska Relic Seeker and the other Veraska in play at the same time. So
absolutely,
if you make this menace dude, you're able to attack a lot better. So and
that's one thing. Actually, I want to get back to Golgari Queen just for a second. Is she doesn't protect herself.
Yeah,
and that's probably the biggest downfall against her. But again, there's enough small creatures in here that you can throw in front of her. And then if you can get a Veraska Relic Seeker down as well, since again they changed the rules and you can have two of the same Planeswalker with just different names down, create those pirate tokens to just throw in front. Really good.
Yeah. So her -3 is destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment, and you get a treasure token. So That's not
And
bad.
treasures, for those of you who don't remember, is they're an artifact with sacrifice this artifact and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Yeah, so -3, which doesn't even bring her down to like 1 or 2 loyalty. It brings her down to 3, so she can technically do the exact same thing again next turn, destroy almost anything. I mean, and then you get 1 mana out of it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good.
Yeah, so it is kind of ramp, and like you said, if you can just destroy 2 artifact creatures or enchantments, then that's pretty good for 6 mana. And then has -10, target player's life total becomes 1. And I'm not saying that that's like a pipe dream or anything like that, because she does start at 6. So if you're able to protect her, that's, I mean, you're not going for it, but like if you get there, why not? You deserve it.
Why? Yeah.
You deserve it if you get there.
I would be shocked if I ever see that happen. I'll be completely honest, because I mean, realistically, any competitive player, I mean, they might plus to get her to 8 the first time, but the second turn, you're gonna be minusing 3 and destroying something and getting some mana out of it.
Oh yeah, but like
no,
I said,
no one's gonna be actively like keep pumping her up. I mean, the
no.
only reason you're gonna do that is if you're getting swarmed and you need to have more butts to throw in front, and at that point, I mean,
Or
she's probably gonna start getting dinged a little bit anyway.
yeah, or if you're in a position where like, you know, you've been able to use your removal to keep your opponent's creatures in check, and you're able to just
Yeah.
kind of keep dropping creatures, and because that's a sizable clock. You know, if you keep dropping a 2/2 for free every turn, like that's
Mhm.
not something, you know, that they can say nothing to. So yeah, I mean, it's something. It's nice. They're both great utility walkers, and they have lots of destroy X, Y, or Z on them, which I like. And it also keeps the spell count down on this deck really low.
So the funny thing is, and I was kind of thinking about this the other day, is so when she came out originally in a Ravnica 2 Electric Boogaloo, um, she was just kind of one of those like random walkers that was just kind of there, right? Like she showed up and then didn't really do anything else. And I don't even think she had a really big part in the story at that point, did she?
She did not. She did have a few things here and there, but it, you know, it wasn't really like important. But yeah, she was still interesting.
So anyway, fast forward, we now have 5 Vraska Planeswalkers.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's insane. I mean we're talking somebody at Wizards R&D loves this character because I mean
she's kind of a badass in the character in the story now.
yeah. Well, it was just kind of funny because like I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, so we have the original Vraska, then we had one in Ixalan, then we have one like almost immediately in Ravnica. But then she had the Planeswalker set in both Ravnica and in Ixalan as well.
Yeah. So we got a dearth of Raskas now.
We do have a lot of Vraskas now.
Assassin's Trophy is green and a black. For an instant, destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle their library. You get 2 of them in the deck. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think what's more surprising is the fact you're only playing 2. Again, I haven't built this deck. I haven't played it. From everything I've heard, though, you don't need a play set. Yeah, you just need a little bit of removal for this, that, or the other.
I mean, you have Ravenous Chupacabra. You can get Ravenous Chupacabra back with Doom Whisperer. You've got the 2 Vraskas that can kind of kill anything. Like this deck is kill things dead deck. I don't think you need too much. And then 2 find.
You actually cannot get it back with Doom Whisperer. You can get it back with Golgari Findbroker though.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I just want to make sure
the Doom Whisperer can put it into the yard if you have it. And then you can get it back with the Find Broker. Thank you for correcting me.
And if we were talking Modern or Legacy, people would have known what you were talking about. But the fact that we're talking Standard and some of these cards are a little more obscure and will not see play anywhere else. I just want to make sure we clarify. But yeah, so we have the 2 Assassins trophies, which are absolutely insane. Best removal in Modern. I mean it's better than Push and better than Path now, right?
I'd say in most cases it's better than Path. I mean, Path just being at 1 mana still is pretty busted, but
and it exiles. But again, this hits anything. Path and Push only hit
creatures.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
Which ironically enough, it's still worse than Abrupt Decay and Legacy.
Yeah.
That Uncounterable is just amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not staying on topic.
Yeah.
It's like the old days.
Find and Finality is our last spell. It's a split card, so I have to turn my head sideways like a dum-dum to read it. But Find is hybrid Golgari. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard
You look
to
like
your
Eagle
hand.
right now. Like you're literally turning your head to read this.
No, I am.
If you guys have ever seen Young Frankenstein, he looks straight up like Igor at this point.
Yeah.
He's got like a little hump going on the other side because he's so overly turned.
Finality
trying to read
costs
this thing.
4 black-green. You may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control.
That looks
then
really
all
uncomfortable.
creatures
Like,
get
your deck's gonna
-4,
be
-4
awful.
until end of turn. So it's a pump spell. It pumps up your creatures.
Would you like some Bente?
Gives them +1/+1 counters. So
Tiger
it's
Bomb,
permanent.
maybe?
And then it's a removal spell. It gives an opponent -4/-4 until end of turn. So this also gets around things like the Tajik that's indestructible. It's a sorcery, so you do this at instant speed. But I mean, you can kill a big thing dead, or you can just shrink down something for a turn so that like they have less able-bodied blockers. So it's a removal spell and a pump spell. Just costs 6.
I mean, realistically, you're using this mostly for the bind. You're pulling stuff out of your graveyard back to your hand.
Oh yeah, it just has
I'd
extra
say like
utility.
80. I'd just say 80% of the time you're doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe like late game if things are starting to stall out a little bit, you play the finality.
Yeah. And
but no, it's really cool card. And guess what? It's got Vraska on it.
Yeah. And
actually, it's got Vraska and the one eye or whatever the heck her name is.
Yeah.
The 1,000-eyed. That could have been more wrong. The one-eyed.
The one-eyed. 1,000-eyed. Yeah.
She has thousands of eyes, not just one.
The land base is pretty simple. We have 8 forests, 7 swamps, 4 woodland cemetery. That's the check land that checks to see if you have a swamp or a forest, and taps for black or green. And then 4 overgrown tomb because it's Ravnica and you have overgrown tombs. So
yeah,
early on, I mean, if you don't have like a Llanowar Elves right away, you can just put it into play tapped, so you're not tapping into your life total. Or later on, you have the option. It's like, well, I don't really need it right now. Can come into play tapped. It's fine.
One thing I want to say, and this is somewhat on topic, is it's been a really long time since I played with Shocklands in Standard. Obviously, it's been since the previous Ravnica, which was like 7 years ago, something like that. But it's almost amazing how fair they are without fetch lands.
Yeah, they're just fair. Like the downside is not something that's overly complicated. Like, yeah, you take 2 damage, but that's it, And I mean, they fix your mana. They're great.
I mean, realistically, I know people have talked about this for a while, but how awesome would Modern Legacy be if they just banned out all the fetch lands?
Yeah, I don't mind it, but
it'll never happen in a million years. But it'd be really cool.
Yeah. So going into the sideboard,
or maybe just a new format like fetchless Eternal.
Yeah. I don't think
Cody is really trying to keep me on topic, and I am refusing.
Yeah, well, we're at 45 minutes, so I'm trying to wrap this up before my kids wake up.
we have ticking time bombs of sleeping babies.
There's 3 duresses in the sideboard. So it's black sorcery. Yeah. Target opponent reveals their hand. You take a non-creature non-land card, and they discard it. One Argol's Bloodfast. Argol. Madargol. It's an enchantment. One in a black.
McDoyle.
Yeah, McPoyle. One in a black.
McPoyle. That's it.
Yeah. Pay 1 in a black, pay 2 life, draw a card. That's pretty awesome. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, you may transform Argol's Bloodfast. It becomes Temple of Alcatraz. I know I'm just saying that wrong. But it taps for black. You sack a creature, you gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. So not bad. There's lots of things with big butts in this
It's
deck.
a whatchamacallit? Fire Exceeding Tower.
Yeah.
So it seems really good. Actually, I wanted to play this card desperately in Legacy, or not in Legacy, in Standard.
Yeah.
In Commander. I want to play desperately in Commander. But again, if you're getting your life below 5 in Commander, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's kind of unplayable.
So there's 3 Moment of Craving, which is basically a combat trick. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn, and you gain 2 life. So that's just kind of great incidental.
So playing this in Esper Control, this card is absolutely fantastic. It's a great removal and synergy for a standard environment. Really like it.
Yeah.
I actually this one might be like one of those cards that I hope becomes like evergreen, and we see it in like core sets.
Yeah.
Super fair. Super fair.
Super fair. Helps trade favorably in combat. You gain 2 life on top of that. It's just nothing
Yeah.
too crazy. We have another wild growth walker to match the one that's in there.
Yep.
2 of Vraska's Contempt, another removal spell. 2 black exile target creature planeswalker. You gain 2 life. That's just straight up banana nuts. Just
Banana hammock.
banana hammock. We have 2 eldest
Bananarama.
2 eldest reborn. 4 and a black. It's a saga and it has 3 chapters. The first is each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. You're kind of okay with that because you're going to get the better end of the stick on that. You have all these 1/1s that do nothing late in the game. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of really powerful planeswalkers decks going on right now.
Yeah.
With the Teferi still out there, and you're going to be seeing some what's his name? The big evil dragon who destroys things. Not Ugin. Ugin's brother.
yeah,
His jerky brother.
Yeah, Nicobolus.
Yeah, Mr. Bolus. Again, I mean, it keeps those guys in check, or big creatures in general. So I mean, it's really, really good.
Yeah. Then the second chapter is each opponent discards a card, and then the third one is put a target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So I mean, taking a Teferi is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's super relevant. So not only do you destroy my Teferi, but in 2 turns you get my Teferi.
There's 3 1-ofs. So one of them is just another Izoni Thousand-Eyed. Against decks that go wide, this is kind of a good way to help reestablish a board presence. Another Find in Finality. Again, we've already discussed it. It's a great utility card. Get things
Well,
back.
especially against decks like Esper Control that are going to be like picking off a lot of your creatures and destroying a lot of stuff. So you can get you have another way to recur it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this last one. I know we're running long, but this is actually a card that probably needs some conversation, considering it's been jumping in price, and people apparently we're sleeping on it a little too much.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of saved it for last so we could go
Yeah.
over it. Vivian Reed costs 3 green for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. Has +1. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library. Not bad.
No, she's really good. I can kind of see why people slept on her a little bit, but yeah, no, she's great.
So her minus 3 is pretty great.
And some of these have ended up in I've seen some of these decks play her in the main board too because she's so good.
Yeah, well, I mean, the -3 basically does a pretty good Vraska copy. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. And that's just very green. Destroying artifacts, enchantments, and flying things. Those are all things green hates, so...
I mean, she protects herself and she destroys something. She draws cards, essentially. I mean, and her ultimate's fine.
Yeah, you get an
Actually,
emblem.
her ultimate's pretty good because I just read the indestructible part on there.
Yeah, your creatures get indestructible. That's pretty awesome.
Very similar to my girl Elspeth.
Yeah.
No, this card's great. I would probably play one in the main myself, at least one, just because again the +1 is so good in this deck because you're just constantly drawing a creature.
Yeah, creatures or lands, whichever you get stuck on.
This deck is almost entirely creatures and lands. So
yeah, I'd say like the one kind of downside I would say that this deck has, but with the exploring, it kind of helps with this, and the Llanowar Elves as well, is just it's so mana hungry. There's lots of black symbols, there's lots of green symbols, and sometimes that can be a problem. But with the Explorer kind of smoothing out your land draws, that helps out a lot. And also Llanowar Elves just tapping for green is also another way to kind of help with your green pips.
No, absolutely. Now, one last thing before we wrap up. This deck is not solved by any means. If you look at MTG Top 8 or any of the other sites where you can kind of net deck a little bit, you can see that there's no consensus list. People are playing different removal packages, different creature packages. I mean, so the core is essentially the same with the Explorer mechanic and the Braskas and things like that, but they're not set. Now, also, we don't have a Pro Tour until 6 weeks after release, I believe, is the big deal.
I think so.
But there's already a little bit of concern that this might be the deck that solves Standard, which is making a lot of people nervous because a lot of people are having fun. The reason why this has come up is the most recent PTQ, which was an MTGO Standard. 6 of the top 8 were all Golgari aggro, and apparently, like, everybody is building and playing this deck right now. So it's super powerful. again, I just don't see it as powerful enough to completely overtake the format, and I hope it doesn't, because again, from my perspective, I've been having a ball. I haven't seen too much of it, but I'm playing Arena, not MTGO. So, what do you think, Kody? Do you think this is a deck that might actually just destroy the format, and all we're going to see is Golgari?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, my opinion on Standard is a little skewed because of basically I've been playing Standard exclusively in Arena, so it's kind of a little bit harder to tell, just because in Arena, cards don't have value. You know what I mean? Like they do in paper. So it's like, when you're the difference between playing on Arena, where you can just get the cards you need, is a little bit different than FNM, where you have like some people that will just buy whatever the hotness standard is and will play it, and then there's some people that like, well, I didn't have enough money for my fourth Doom Whisperer, so I've got 2 Doom Whisperers and XYZ whatever replacement, and then you have the pros that basically have access to literally anything and also are just the top players. So it's something that we'll see coming up with the Pro Tour, what kind of happens. And I know that any pro with their salt is not going to say anything about it yet. They're going to wait until the Pro Tour. No. So it's going to be kind of a toss up. I think right now, like you said,
we will see this deck at the Pro Tour. I'm sure we'll see some version of this deck at the Pro Tour.
I'm sure. Yeah, this is, and I mean, again, we can thank Merfolk Branchwalker and J-Light Ranger for kind of helping push. This deck is great without them, but that Explorer is just great and really helps push this deck.
So my personal opinion on this deck is, I think it's more of the flash in the pan. It's this week's hotness, especially because we don't have a Pro Tour. We don't know what the pros are going to be playing at the top level. The card that actually scares me the most as becoming the broken card in this standard is not even a green or a black card. It's actually going to be Risk Factor. Risk Factor is absolutely bonkers. Yep. I haven't cast one yet, but it's been cast on me quite a bit, and each time it's like, yeah, that's not good.
Yep.
And it's gonna be played again the next turn because you have 8 copies in your deck.
Yep.
So I think, if anything, I think it's gonna be some sort of a red deck that's gonna be if this standard breaks, it'll be a red deck with Risk Factor. But I'm hoping it doesn't, because so far it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I think we'll get the last 5 guilds coming up, which could hopefully settle things down too.
Remember, you can discuss this with us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook as @FishCastMTG. We would love to hear what you guys think about Standard, because Standard is awesome right now. I'm sure Matt would agree with me on that.
Oh yeah, I've been saying it for the last hour. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Go play it. Go download Arena. Go play some Standard. If you see a screen named Blastudo, that's me. You're playing against me, and depending on what time of day it is, you'll determine if I'm actually paying attention or if I'm watching TV and drinking at the same time while playing.
Yeah. So you can find me on Twitter as @NotCodySmith, and where can we find you, Matt?
I'm at Matthew Caudill 8. Kody, would you mind giving your Arena screen name just so that people can know if they're randomly playing against you?
Yeah, it's @NotCodySmith. I mean, not the @ but it's just not Kody Smith. That's where you can find me on pretty much anything. I'm on Xbox Live, PSN. It's my game, my for my 3DS, I'm sure. That's everything. And if you have a longer form question, or you want to discuss something in a little bit more detail, you can find us at fishcastmtg@gmail.com. Our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt, and our stream and other associated art was done by Ishton on Twitter. If you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe in the Apple or Google Play podcast app stores, as well as find us on patreon.com/fishcastmtg, where you can support us monetarily. And we thank our patrons so much. You guys are amazing, awesome folks, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much for stopping by to hear us talk about Standard and some Merfolk in Standard. And we will see you all next week.
Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.